What's up, man? Look, I know you've been waiting for this to happen, and it's here. Now is the time. Here is the place. You got me, your boy, Hozell, Francis II, a.k.a. Snoop. Some of y'all know me as Snoop. And we got the man himself, the myth, the legend, Armon Patrick. So, we're just going to chop it up about a couple different details and see what happens from there. So what's up, Armon? How you been, man?
What it do, bro? Hey, we surviving right now. This school and work life is crucial.
Yeah, man. So, what's school looking like for you right now?
Yeah, so some of you might know I finished at Cal Baptist University this past May, Atlanta, baby, with my applied theology degree, and I am now in the counseling psychology program back at Cal Baptist to Lord willing, become licensed as a marriage and family therapist. So we here at the church as the R.E.A.P Children's Union Youth and Young Adult Director, and we back at being a student.
And who's this fine gentleman you got here on his shirt?
Oh, hey, we had to represent to start out right. Shout out my guy, Dr. Dan. We made some fresh T-shirts for his birthday, and so look at this dude smile, man. Just so beautiful, man.
Sparkling.
It's remarkable.
Sparkling right now. Check him out. Shout out to the homie Dr. Dan.
Yes, sir.
The man.
Yes, sir. How about you, man? What's school, what's life looking like for you right now?
It's school, it's life. It's all of the above. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but it's cool. I'm going to school, for those of you who may not know. I got one more semester left. Lord have mercy. And I have my master's in theological studies, with the biblical studies concentration, you know what I'm saying? So I'll be trying to look like I know some Bible stuff, but I kind of do. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm a student of the Bible. Everybody is, nobody knows it all. So I'm trying to figure out, what's going on in here, just like everybody else, so I could contextualize it, put it in the FRV, you know what I'm saying, and spit it out. You know what I'm saying? Let them
Francis revised version for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, they gonna learn. But other than that, man, just chilling, doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Trying to drink some water sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Have a meal or two once a week, you know what I'm saying? See how that all plays out, but, other than that, yeah.
No, that's solid, bro. That's solid.
No.
That's solid. That's solid. What does it look like to trust the Lord in this season with all that?
Yeah, see, that's what we get into. You see, it's very interesting that you went to that point, because that's the theme of the month, trust. And so, what does it look like trusting the Lord and all of that? Well, first and foremost, with these gas prices, you know what I'm saying? It take a miracle just to get from point A to point B. So it's just your daily needs, your everyday struggles. It's like you understand that they're bigger than you. I understand they're bigger than me. I ain't no big dude to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't be having all them struggles at the same doggone time. That's crazy. So it's like you have to have some kind of trust in, in God. I think everybody has trust in something, right? You know what I'm saying? A bigger entity than themselves. And so, I guess that varies from person to person how that all looks. But for me, Team Jesus, you feel me?
No, that's solid.
What about you though? How does that all look from your perspective? Just getting out of school, going right back in,
Man, it's like I'm flopping outside the water like I'm a fish on the show, man. And now I'm like, I'm getting back into the water. For me, it's kind of crazy. It kind of came full circle. When I originally came into CBU, I was a psychology major to begin with. And then obviously I switched over to the BAP program thanks to your persuasion and a little prayer.
I don't know what you thinking me for. You should be firing on me right now.
Nah, it helped me because it gave me some perspective. It helped me have a biblical, more theological foundation to build on ultimately what I want to do, which is to be a family therapist and to help people reconcile and be a part of the Lord's work in restoring people. And so to be able to go through the theology program, not sure how that was going to look like, when that was going to look like, to kind of get back in school and then, getting a little love from my dad, a little love from Pastor Dockery saying, you young, just get the school done.
Still
I'm like,
behind the ears, boy.
And to jump back in at this point and, the finances to be covered and everything, like,
Yeah, man.
It's a blessing, the finances specifically, bro.
So, I mean, like, while we talking about finances, right, like, school is expensive for those of you who do know. You know what I'm saying? It's like them loans is kicking, bro. All of the above. And so it's like, what role did that play in your decision to go or not go? Like,
right.
Even the finances.
Right. It was definitely a couple of conversations for sure with my parents in particular, because school is not inexpensive, and so to have their support and have their financial support as well to kind of push forward and be like, we want you to see you get to where you're trying to go. We want to see you accomplish the things that we believe and agree that are what God has in store for you to serve and be a part of His kingdom. And so it was like, you got a full-time job now though, so you're gonna chip in a little bit too.
It's gonna be a tag.
It's gonna be a tag team, but the fact that they're willing to support me, and even my grandparents, I mean, it goes down the line of people, wanting to make sure I succeed. It's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's always like a motivation to help somebody that's out there trying to help themselves, you know what I mean? And then, especially like a lot of older people complain, like, you're not trying to do this, you're not trying to do that. So it's like, look, this man trying to handle his business, so, it would be crazy not to rally behind him, support him, hold him up, and all of that. So for sure. Now let me ask you this. I mean, I don't know how I turned into the interviewer, but I guess I'm gonna just roll with it. Why not?
Let's rock.
So, what verses, like, where do you turn to scripture to, like, increase your trust and your faith and all of that?
That's a good question. I mean, I definitely, we all know Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, looking at trusting the Lord with all your heart, not some of it, not 3/4, but all of your heart, and leaning not on your own understanding. I think that's the biggest thing is, as humans, we think that we have it all together, even though we don't. And in the back of our mind, we think that we understand that, okay, we don't have it all together, but we want to act like we do. And so just kind of showing that humility and saying, you know what, God is sovereign. God has control over every aspect of my life, the situations that come and go, the good, the bad, and indifferent, but using it for His glory, I think is encouraging and a good reminder to have when looking at how do I trust God, when I'm like, I'm underwater with homework, I'm underwater with work, I'm trying to eat, I'm trying to sleep, the gas prices is high, the diabetes is acting up for myself personally, even with just like my health too, like just, learning over the last couple of years, like how to manage that, how to like trust God when I'm like, man, my body was working fine, 2 years ago. And so I thought, and then stuff started shutting down and packing its bags and talk about, you're going to have to start pumping insulin to your body, checking your blood sugar. I didn't even know what a blood sugar was. Bro, I was like, you combining two different things right now.
Like
blood and sugar, bro. Like those don't
same body.
those don't go together, but apparently they do. Learning about my body and trusting God and like how to stay afloat and stay consistent with that, so I can continue to be effective, in the roles that I'm in here at the church, as a brother, as a relationship partner, and so on and so forth.
You're hired, you know what I'm saying? That's all I needed to hear, no more. No, but that's good. I mean, like, it's just weird sometimes, I guess, like, having those responsibilities, coming fresh out of school, or whatever, like, the transition is, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's going through some type of transition, no matter what it is. Every day you're alive, you're going through a transition because you're getting older. Like, that's just natural, right?
Development.
And so your body is transitioning whether you're paying attention to it or not. And so, like, even with that being said, like, here you go, like, from school to this, to that, to that. And so it's like, I can see why you really would need a foundation for trust in God, because, look, man, when you hit the gas prices, I was already, like, I was in shambles inside. Nobody could probably see it. I don't know, because I'm used to it now. But I'm not used to it. I'll take that back. Because I was like in South Central the other day, right? And the dude, you know, like they got that stick where they like slap it on the ground and like put the numbers up to change at the gas station. Man. So he got the stick, like, wow. And like picking the numbers up, putting them up there. And I was like, where he taking that 7 to? You know what I'm saying? He's going to the top. He said, like,
I'm going up yonder.
Going up yonder with the gas prices. I'm like, this dude is tripping. Like, what is you doing? We in the hood. You know, as it is, you know, like people are already struggling, just trying to eat, survive, and here you go. You taking that 7 to the top, bro? 7 don't got no business at the top. You feel me? Like, nah. So, you know, now that I got through my moment, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you got to have trust in God because, like, you get to that point where you're like, what am I going to do next? You know what I'm saying? So, like, even hearing your journey and, like, saying, okay, having that motivation, having those people in place to kind of, like, guide you, direct you, motivate you. You got it popping right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got it cracking, man. I don't know, man. What you reading in this Bible right now about trust? Like, is it all Proverbs or you got something else going on or what?
Yeah, man. I think looking at Psalms, that's someplace I hung out a lot in 2020 in particular, but someplace I like to revisit is because oftentimes going throughout Psalms, you have either David or you have the people of Israel, you know, looking at God like everything is in shambles. We're struggling, we're hurting, we're sad, we're mad, going through every emotion in the book, experiencing anxiety, and yet they're saying, the Lord is my refuge and my strength. The Lord is my rock and my salvation. I shall not be afraid. That's deep. That's deep to say something when you got people firing on you, literally, people, you know, attacking you, you in exile, you know, you're not where you thought you were supposed to be, and yet you're still deciding I'm going to choose to trust the Lord and praise him. Not just trust him, but praise him in the midst of the trials that you're facing. Those are helpful reminders for myself, you know, because it can be easy to wallow in sadness and, you know, get your Eeyore on and just be moping around everywhere.
Oh boy, Eeyore. Man. The ears all low like this.
Head drudging around like it's not good, man. But, you know, knowing the realities that at the same time, like, we winning in the end, you know, that helps you give you some perspective. It helps you give you hope.
Like, even with that being said, like, that's trust right there because it's like you're looking forward to a victory you haven't even experienced yet. You know what I'm saying?
Not fully, at least. Not in full.
It's like, it's almost like you're in a football game, right? And it's like third quarter, you know what I'm saying? Y'all score and you up. But the game ain't sealed yet, you know what I'm saying? They might kick a field goal. Anything could happen, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like, but they're like, but you're going to win. And you're like, bro, we only up by like, you know what I'm saying, a point. Or we're down by 15. I don't know, whatever the case may be, right? And you're like, and we're going to win this, you know? Sometimes that's how it feels for me. Like just being a human being, you know, where it's like, you know there's victory down the line, but right now I'm still in the game.
Right.
Like we didn't get the rings yet, you know what I'm saying? I'm still playing. I'm
You're not on the podium.
I'm on the field, right? You know what I'm saying? Got the gold medal hanging yet, but it's like you know it's coming. So it's like you had that expectation, you had that hope, but you still on the field though. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Hey, no, it's definitely hitting, man. It's making me think about, you know, our boy Kobe, you know, coming through in 2009. He was like, you know, the interviewer asked him, interviewer asking him, you know, you up 2-0, you know, why are you not excited? Why are you not happy right now? He said, job not finished. He said, job finished? I don't think so. So you keep trusting, you keep moving until the job is done.
Right.
Until you see Christ face to face, and he says, job well done, faithful servant.
Man, you popping that fire today, man. Like, what's up with you?
Man, I got a little extra sleep this morning.
It must have been something. Look, I had my coffee. I don't think I put too much water in there or something. I don't know. I got to put some bean on that thing, you feel me? Nah, but, yeah, I mean, like, even, like, we were having a conversation before about, like, how, you know, even in the political realm, you know what I'm saying, people will put their faith in the politics or in the politicians,
in the party,
in the ideologies or whatever the case may be. And look, I need my taxpayer dollars worth. Don't get it twisted, right? Like I need my results, but at the same time, it's like I'm not fully dependent on these people or what they, you know, what they're there, quote unquote to do or to produce. You know what I'm saying? I want my tangibles, you feel me? But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, there is a deeper influence to the way that these things play out that sometimes we forget about. What you got to say about that?
Yeah, no, I think you're on the right track with that in regards to we as people, as believers, sometimes we get caught up in, well, I want to believe in this and this and this candidate, or I want to believe in this and this and this and this policies, but not having, like you said, the greater mindset and point of view that we need to trust God regardless of what these people are doing or not doing. Obviously, you want to be informed, you want to do the best you can to make wise and sound and biblically and Christian-based decisions, but at the end of the day, you're still dealing with human beings. God is still at work.
So how deep into politics, I mean, I know this is like a personal opinion type question, but that's what we're here for.
Hey,
so it's like, how far into politics do you think Christians should involve themselves, or like how tied to the social situation of what's going on outside the church should the church actually be involved in that? Like,
it's crucial. It's crucial. I mean, we think about Matthew 5 and how Christ calls us to be salt and light. You can't be salt and light if you just staying indoors, staying in your house.
You can be salty in the house, man. Looking out the window, just keeping all the salt to yourself, just flavorful.
Hey, it's facts though.
You
that's a choice you can make. But Christ calls us to go out and make disciples. Like that's part of what Christ has called us to. And so, at the same time, like living out, like what does it look like to be a Christ follower, and how you love your neighbor. How are you loving your neighbor? If there are ways in which you can be, politically active to help somebody, meet some of their physical needs, why wouldn't you? Obviously, they need to have a relationship with Christ. That's the most important thing on the planet. But if you can do something to help their situation currently, why wouldn't you?
Again, you shooting that vibe. But I mean, with all that being said, a lot of people will, the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself, right? That's one of my cores right there. Love your neighbor as yourself. But then at the same time, you get people that say, like, who's my neighbor though? Now you want to start, picking and choosing. Come on, bro. You already know it's weird. Like
you can't be doing that, man. I mean, I was working on
no sense.
I was working on an assignment, in one of my classes. It was my law and ethics class. She brought up a video, of a dude. He's a lawyer. He's helping people in prisons in different countries in Africa to be able to defend themselves against being falsely accused of crimes that they didn't commit. That's valid. I think that's a blessing. I think that's a good thing. But far too often times, we're willing to travel across the world, but not deal with the people that we have here who need the same kind of love, the same kind of attention, the same kind of support, and same kind of resources at the end of the day. And so we can do something about that. I think that's showing more Christ-likeness than maybe we consider.
Well, I mean, like back to the trust issue, it's kind of like, I think sometimes the reason why some people won't go and do those more at-home missions, or those urban missions, or city missions, or whatever you want, local, right? Especially in a place like LA or something like that, it's because they don't really trust God like that. And I'm just throwing that out there because they'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna go to random country in Africa or wherever because I'll go over there and if anything happens, I die for Christ, and you know what I'm saying. But there's a clout factor that comes with that, right?
Straight up.
And then it's like, well, if you want to help somebody, some kids right there off of 71st and Vermont or whatever, or like Compton or something. And they're like, it's dangerous over there. Like, boy, you trying to go overseas?
Right.
You taking
a plane, getting a passport.
You know how much missions you could do locally with 9 plane tickets worth of funds? You know what I'm saying? If you go into a place like Tanzania, shout out to Tanzania. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, if you take that money and you donate that, or not donate, but delegate that towards something that's local, you could do a lot of good right there. You know what I mean? And you can still do the overseas missions. I'm not saying like cut them off or nothing like that. But yeah, it's like a multitude of things where you can't just say like, I would rather go over there and die, and then you come over here and be a patriot. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna bleed and die for the country, but you're not gonna bleed and die for the church right here? You ready to go over there and take all these risks? And anyway, I'm just saying,
hey,
that's one of my. Let me tell you what grinds my gears, right? It's one of them kind of situations. So it's just like, I'm with you on that, bro. It's like we gotta be more, I guess, like effective where we are.
Intentionality.
Right.
It really is about intentionality. Because, you take the time, you train, you prepare, you walk through, well, what is the cultural context that I'm stepping into? What are the actual physical needs that need to be met that we could provide to go to these different places? Right. Those same principles, those same mindsets that we have for that should also apply when we're meeting people locally. Mm-hmm. And like ultimately, like trusting that God is going to do the work at home too. I mean, like you said, it's a trust thing at the end of the day. Oftentimes, we hear people, saying, well, it is what it is. There's not anything that can be done about it. Right. Or someone else will take care of it. That's someone else's problem. Mm-hmm. Well, it's time to take ownership, man. We got to take ownership of our faith. We got to take ownership of our resources. We got to take ownership of what we can do to minister to the people that are local to us.
Yeah, and then even on that, like, it's like, back to the trust side of it, it's like, it's easier to go and talk to somebody way over there and kind of like, it's almost like an imbalance of power sometimes where, somebody will go to a different place that they consider to be third world or unreached or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like you have a supreme or a superior view of who you are when you get there.
Right.
And that takes away from God's work. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like even trusting yourself more than you should. Like, they don't know nothing about Jesus. I'm a Bible expert compared to them. Oh, I come over here and look, when I went to Tanzania, you know what I'm saying? And I bust that little $90 down. I felt like I was a multi-millionaire, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like that can go to your brain. And then you start like, man, I could trust in my little $90. Mm-hmm. $90 can't get you Jack Diddley over here. You feel me? But it's like, over there, $90, man, I was like at like 200,000. Thought I was balling, you know what I'm saying? Bro. Look, I thought I was doing my thing, you know what I'm saying? I was ready to make it rain. I was going to pick it all back up, put it back in my pocket, but I felt like I had it, though, if I wanted to. And so it's like the image of yourself gets to be bigger than God would even have it to be. Mm. And so you start looking at yourself thinking that these things are a byproduct of what you do. And you're not trusting in God to make these things happen or to lead them to the fruition, amen, of what they're supposed to be. You know what I mean? And so it's like we can even get in the way of the things that God's really trying to accomplish sometimes by being in a position of trust that leans more on us than it does on Him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. What do I know?
Hey, that ain't bad, man. That ain't bad.
I'm just saying some stuff.
That ain't bad. That ain't bad.
Yeah, so you want to jump into the next segment of this thing, man? What's up?
Yeah, bruh. Yeah, what does trust look like as we stepping in as new employees at St. Stephen, bro?
What
does that look like for us? What would you say about that?
Look, it got to be a trust situation overall because number one, you have to be trusting about a whole lot of different stuff. First of all, I had to trust that I was even gonna get hired up here. You feel me? Because like the road to me getting hired at a church, it like went through a whole lot of different stations along the railroad.
That's another podcast.
That's a whole different podcast. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you got to trust it. I mean, like, even like the process, like without going into all the details, the patience that went into the process of me being hired was like a whole big old trust thing. You know what I mean? Where I seen where God was providing for me, like even like finishing school, car situation, life situations, whatever, where things were just like going into place according to His time, and like not necessarily when I wanted them to, but like in a sequence of events where opportunities that were temporary ran their course, and then opportunities that were like supposed to be more solidified started to take shape. And so it was like that in and of itself was kind of like, okay, now that I'm here, it's time to go in and go hard.
Gotta go hard.
You know what I'm saying? No games to be played. All right.
God bless and Godspeed, baby.
God bless and Godspeed. You feel me? So it's like you doing the run like
a whole Naruto situation.
Yeah, you got to go hard right now. So it's like full speed ahead. But even with that being said, you got to trust God to know like when to step on the gas, when to step on the brakes, when to cut and when to hold on.
And repeat that one more time.
When to step on the gas and when to hit the brakes. You got to listen to God for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a navigation that goes along with working in the church environment. You know that you have to consider a lot of things that you don't really have to worry about at McDonald's or nothing. I never worked at McDonald's, so shout out to McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to McDonald's and what they going through, but I'm just saying this is a unique, you know what I'm saying, job environment, and so it's like just trusting God to say okay, or like trusting God to lead me to the point where I had the discernment and the willingness to hear His voice when He's saying what He's saying to get me to do what I do when it needs to be done.
You having the boldness and the courage to do it.
Look, and not just that, but you have to have the boldness and the courage to be quiet and let God do the talking. That's where the trust kicks in. You feel me? Because it's like, I've taken these classes, I've read these books. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's all fine and dandy. Because trust me, them books, they take you somewhere where you need to go. Often enough. But at the same time, it's like, those books are written by people who are trusting God. Hopefully, because then you can gain from them what God really wants you to gain. Mm-hmm. It's just like reading this book here. Mm-hmm. We can read the same verse and we can get different levels of truth, mm-hmm. right? Because God will share an insight with you and share an insight with me on the same thing. That's within the context, right?
Context.
You gotta have the context. Y'all know. And so it's like, those are the things that guide you, right? Reading it right, reading it and applying it right. Not just reading it and knowing it, but reading it and then also applying it. Because God is telling you that's what you need to do. And saying like, okay, I trust God's plan more than I trust my plan. Because my plan is pretty swell, right? But at the same time, I need to hear what God is saying about that. And so, that's the short answer to your question.
Man, that sounds like it's redefining, bro. Redefining what trust looks like.
I mean, it's not even redefining what trust looks like. It's redefining what we think trust looks like. You know what I'm saying? Because we got our own perceptions of this stuff, but at the end of the day, what the Bible says is what it is. And so that's where the trust come in. Because I can sit up here and tell y'all gang stuff, and it'll sound good. You know what I'm saying? For some strange reason, I can make it sound real smooth, right? But if it's not, it ain't. That's it. So if the Bible says it ain't.
Point blank, period.
You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of smart, but I ain't got thousands of pages and thousands of years worth of wisdom on me. Straight up. Yeah, man. Let's go into the lightning round.
Hey, let's run it.
Let's get our timer popping, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna give how much time?
5 minutes, no more, no less.
We're gonna give 5 minutes to a lightning round of subjects here, and we're just gonna pop off about I don't know, whatever comes to your mind. You know what I'm saying? The context of some Jesus stuff.
That's it.
All right, so let's get our timer going. 5 minutes, and let's start off with gun rights. Go.
Ooh-wee. Yeah,
gun rights, trust.
Dang.
Social life.
Man, that's real.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Should we trust in guns? Should we trust in the gun rights? Should we have a right to own guns?
Should we have a right to own guns? Man, I mean, some people would say, I trust the Lord is going to cover this house.
Okay.
And this dwelling place. Some people would say that. Others would be like, I trust that the Lord is going to cover this place. And my right to own no gun.
Right.
And so, you have people on wide ends of the spectrum in terms of opinions on that. I think it's helpful to kind of look at, some of the Old Testament, particularly in Exodus, where it talks about what does it look like to protect yourself and protect those that are in your community? What does it look like to protect those that are within your family, and how to respond when wrong is done.
Elaborate. Like what does Exodus say about that?
Yeah, so we can check that out.
Okay, well let me know something. You know what I'm saying? See what Jesus say in all these books here.
Man.
Because there's that turn the other cheek.
Mm-hmm.
So like do you have the right to protect yourself? Let me know something. What does the Bible say about that,
so we looking at Exodus 22 for those who are trying to check that out one time. Talks about laws of protecting your crops, laws about protecting personal property. So we'll look at personal property in particular. This starts at verse 7. When a man gives his neighbor valuables or goods to keep, but they are stolen from that person's house, the thief, if caught, must repay double. If the thief is not caught, the owner of the house must present himself to the judges to determine whether or not he has taken his neighbor's property. In any case of wrongdoing involving an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment, or anything else lost, and someone claims that's mine, the case between the two parties is to come before the judges. The one the judges condemn must repay double to his neighbor. When a man gives his neighbor a donkey and an ox, a sheep, or any other animal to take care of, but if it dies, is injured, or is stolen while no one is watching, there must be an oath before the Lord between the two of them to determine whether or not he has taken his neighbor's property. Its owner must accept the oath, and the other man does not have to make restitution. And so just thinking about if there's wrong done, if there's crimes committed, justice has to be made. Right relationship has to be made. However, when we're looking at it in this case of in gun rights and how people respond with that, you have a right to protect yourself.
Look, you hit it when you hit, some people are like, the Lord gonna cover this house. Well, check this out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hit the doorpost with the blood of the lamb and all of this, right? But if you come through that doorpost, you gonna get that hot fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the life that I'm about. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to say kill nobody, don't condone violence.
Right.
This is the disclaimer. But you get what you get when you do what you do. I think there's a clear expectation, even everybody's favorite verse, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not saying just go around getting revenge or nothing, but there's action there's consequences for your actions, right? Mm-hmm. And when you present yourself to a person violently, you should expect that back. You know what I'm saying? So if you bucking up at people's houses and all of that, you walk into a bullet. Mm-hmm. You kind of put yourself in that situation. I don't know, man. Let me know.
On top of that, thinking about what does it look like to love your neighbor? So let's say you have a household, you have a family. Are you just gonna lay down?
I'm not. You know what I'm saying? When the police get there, tell me to stretch my arms out, put them behind my back so they can take me up out of there. But somebody not gonna make it. I'm just saying, you got to protect your family, you got to protect your folks. I don't know. I don't want nobody coming for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Just for saying this, but I'm saying it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Look, just mind your own, you live long, right?
That's it.
So, I think if you use these things the way you're supposed to, then,
self-defense.
Yeah. Just use your guns wisely. Lock them up, keep them away from the kids, and all that kind of stuff. So let me ask you about this though. What about we talked about treating people right, treating people wrong, kind of making things right with your neighbor when you do them dirty, whatever. Sure. What's your view on one of the hot topics, especially here in California, reparations?
Right. I think it's valid. We talk about Exodus kind of goes over a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here of making restitution, making right what was wrong. That's a simple, basic concept. However, people have various takes on it, particularly because, you're a descendant of slave in particular. We're talking about, reparations for Black Americans. Well, you were a descendant, but you didn't experience that. Or it was a long time ago. You hear that a lot about a lot of stuff, but in this case, that is an area in which people say it. They're it's been a long time. It's not valid. I didn't own any slaves. Why should I pay any reparations? And, the reality is we have an opportunity to make things right. We've seen reparations executed and done for different groups here in the United States specifically, not just abroad, but in the United States specifically. And so having opportunities to make that right and do that here for Black Americans is definitely justified because, there was a promise to do so back in 1865 during Reconstruction, and, that failed intentionally. And so on top of that, you look at, how Reconstruction didn't do its job in helping repair and give, Black Americans an opportunity to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, as, we like to look at. And it continued throughout the 20th century, through Jim Crow, through redlining, through the 80s, the drug epidemic. Like, there have been actions and intentional consequences to lack of care and giving the freedom for Black Americans to thrive. Because when they were left alone, they were able to thrive, and still, people still wanted to mess with them and still give them a hard time and make it difficult for them to succeed. Yet we still here. So now we just want to come get the check.
I want a check.
What's your thoughts?
I mean, if we're gonna go there, you know what I'm saying? I'll just say this. I agree with you. I think that loving your neighbor as yourself means that when you see them struggling, especially, if I may not have had anything to do with it, but if I see that there's an issue, right, that I can help you to deal with, and if there's a good moral reason to do so, right, it should be like, there shouldn't be a whole lot of running around in circles trying to figure out why and how and all of this. Moral of the story is, if we all, these are people that under any other circumstances would do this type of thing, right? And we see where we aid countries all the time. We aid groups of people all the time. And so I'm with you on that. The one thing, on the other hand, is that, it's a God situation, right? And so it's like God is the one who ultimately will provide the repair, whether it's, through the government or whatever other means. And so it's like we got to make sure that we're right with God, when we approach justice, because justice ultimately comes from Him. And so that's my quick take, All right, what else we got here? So look, it's good picking your brain, You the man with the master plan. I'm just trying to see what's going on, man, and up in here.
In the chromosome.
No, you don't pass up through the chromosome. Your hair gets taller. I think it's some ideas in there. I'm trying to see, can we get up in there? But, we're just throwing some stuff out there, man. If anybody got anything that they want to suggest that we talk about or discuss, or you have any thoughts, please feel free to leave them down there in the comments below. We'll get back to you. You ain't got nothing else to do. You feel me? And other than that, anything you want to throw out there, Armon?
Yeah, man, we appreciate y'all taking the time to listen, pay attention. Hopefully this was educational for you, enjoyable, and laughable too. And God bless and Godspeed, baby. Reaper out.